and welcome friends to a new episode of our Warhammer 3 narrative-driven campaign playing as the Pirates of Sartosa under Aranessa Saltspite and using mods like Nanu's Pirates of Sartosa Overhaul to really revamp their roster so it's more of a living mortal roster rather than an undead roster, and to truly make this a story-driven experience. To recap our last episode, we have been beating back the Rat Menace of Ikit Claw and the Skaven, taking Skaven Blade and actually selling it for a pretty decent amount to Clan Angren and the Dwarves. But with the Rat Menace out of the way, we now have to focus our attention on the coast of Araby, aka Warhammer North Africa. We've made landfall using 2 expeditionary scouting fleets to make an assault on our Bretonnian neighbors led by Raponce de Lyonesse, but we're not alone in this fight. We have some potential allies with the Sultanate of Araby and also with Arkan the Black. Arkan himself has taken on Raponce and I believe has beaten her, at least that's what it looks like. I did see off video that he did capture one of her settlements and we're using that advantage to ourselves by using our 2 expeditionary fleets to make an assault and landfall on this little island here. But Sultan Jafar is technically leading the attack, a few groups of spearmen, some archers, and we're also probably going to rely on his Arabian knights and camel lancers to do most of the damage here. Lyonesse also is fielding some peasant bowmen with pox arrows. Those are going to be the real damage dealers. I'm not too worried about the men-at-arms, let alone the foot squires here too, although these could potentially hold the front lines against the Arabian spearmen, but we're also reinforcing them. Looks like we might be coming in a very short amount of time too. But also I am going to be a bit of a devious pirate and roleplay a true Sartosan by holding back most of my units, even my zombie units, and occasionally helping them using my harassing units like my bats and scurvy dogs, as I do want to preserve the rest of my army to make more engagements against both Lyonesse and also the Knights of Origo. And there's another modded Bretonnian faction that we might encounter here too. I believe they're called the Outrimmer faction. They're kind of based off the Holy Crusaders from our real world too. But my plans for this battle are to preserve as much of my army as possible, allow the Sultanates to take Fyrus, but then also using this new territory to launch more staging ground attacks against the Bretonnians. But let's start this battle. I will fight it manually because I do want to give you guys a very cinematic experience and I want to see how well the Arabians do in battle. Alright my friends, I'm honestly loving the look of the Arabian forces arrayed out here, and I may even do a let's play series playing as one of the Arabian factions in the future too. But I'm also very much committed to playing as the Pirates of Sartosa and to also be more of a morally gray force in the Warhammer world, sometimes siding with the Ordertide forces, sometimes with the Chaos forces, just depending on what gives me more money, territory, and of course infamy, which by the way, infamy wise we are still low on the scale, but also I'm more so focused on a high income for my fielding all of my armies too. Now like I said before too, the key force here is going to be these Arabian knights. Lore wise, Araby was known for having some pretty fast horses, as I remember. The elves actually had colonies in Araby and even bred some of their horses with the local population. Well, not the actual people, but the actual horses of Araby too. Hence why Arabian horses nowadays are supposed to be very strong and fast. And also, the genie absolutely looks real sick. And yes, I know this is based off of Aladdin's genie. This is essentially, what if the genie from Aladdin actually helped Jafar, or Jafar won in Aladdin, and that's essentially what this faction's leader is based off of too. Let's see if we can zoom in on him here. Absolutely love the look of his outfit there, serpent staff and also curved sword like the Red Guards. Alright, I'm actually going to position my camera off to the left here like it normally is, just to give you guys a better look. But yeah, Sultan Jafar and all of his glory based off the actual Aladdin Jafar with his cobra staff and also very curved sword. Alright, enough about the curved sword jokes. We'll start the battle. I'm not sure if... Oh, okay, looks like they're going to be charging in immediately. And I did move my reinforcements all the way over to the back here. They were originally positioned on the far side of the map, but also it left us too much in open ground as I really want to preserve as many of my range units as possible. I'm a little bit surprised that Araby has decided to make the attack without waiting for us. Bretonnians are on the other side of the tree line, although where they exactly are, I'm pretty sure they're just over the crest of this hill. I'm a little bit concerned that the Arabians are sending and exerting or overextending their knights into position 2, but they could be using them for scouting purposes. Although, personally for me, I would use the camels as my scouts. Alright, looks like camel lancers and a group of Arabian knights being sent on the far right flank. And also, just bear in mind, everyone, that the AI is in control of our allies, so it's probably not going to make the best tactical decisions out there. Alright, Sultan Jafar with his very own hero lord, legendary hero lord, essentially the captain of his bodyguards, although nowhere to be found near his commander. Alright, Arabian Knights, looks like they spotted the Bretonnian army in the center of the hillside here. And we're just going to wait for our reinforcements to arrive. It looks like they're actually pulling back and also trying to debate the Bretonnians to come to us. And yes, I think I may actually fast forward during parts of this battle here because it seems as though the AI is going to be very passive. Arabian footmen and slave rabble coming into the hillside and about to crest into the Bretonnian lines. What awaits them, whether it's spears or arrow fire, I cannot say which. But also I am very much hoping that these Arabian knights, decked out in all of their glorious armor, are able to make a very devastating flanking charge, especially because of the fact that, oh, looks like they are being pulled back at the moment. And I believe... Alright, well, I did pull up the menu again just to see if our reinforcements are coming in. But honestly, it might just be the AI trying to cheese us instead and have us do all the work for them. Semi-concerned here as... looks like some of their slave rabble is looking a little bit winded, but also they are cannon fodder. Alright, and after a bit of back and forth, the battle is now finally underway with the Bretonnians clashing heavily with the Arabian front lines. Massive melee and brawling ensued here. Looks like we got some magic effect going on from this genie supporting his Arabian knights and also spearmen on the left flank here. This is going to be a bit of a slogfest, not just a bit of a slogfest, but also it looks like Bretonnian archers laying fire down on the Arabian archers there. We also finally have control of our armies now after some waiting, and I think I'm going to at least make an attempt to help out our Bretonnian friends by sending in our expendable units like bloated corpses and also fell bats here. Now, we only just arrived, and also I am going to be a bit of a scumbag and hold back the majority of my forces. Also, I think I'm planning on sending in some deck droppers in to assist them as well. Alright, let's zoom back in on the action here. And yes, like I said before, the AI is controlling our allies, so they're not going to make the most tactical decisions, although they are routing some of the men-at-arms here. Palace guards also doing quite a bit of work on the men-at-arms shields here. Alright, let's see how they're doing in terms of health, and also being reinforced with a resounding charge from these Arabian knights. Fellbats coming in, swooping in to lay waste to the Bretonnians on this flank. Very fast-moving units here. Let's actually send our deck droppers to harass these peasant archers. Alright, and also not taking too many damage on our end too. Bretonnian backline sending into disarray with the arrival of our bats. Alright, let's actually take these ones out, and thus evening the playing field for our Arabian friends. Without the support of their pox archers, it doesn't look like the Bretonnians will make a comeback from this anytime soon. Alright, deck droppers, you harass that group. Fellbats, you all swarm in on this group. Alright, I do need to micromanage things a little bit better here. Alright, we'll just have to make do with this right now. Alright, how are our corpses doing? Alright, they are still being held back here. Alright, let's actually have them circle around. I really do not need any lone Bretonnians charging into them. Okay, looks like the fire arrows are actually about to do a bit of work on our deck droppers there. Okay, let's actually send 2 groups of fellbats into this unit of archers here, 2 groups of fellbats into this unit here. Divide and conquer that way. Alright, how are our deck droppers doing? Also, getting a little bit worked up there. Only support for the archers are these peasant mobs, which not going to be doing too much either. And also, camel lancers coming in to support our bats. Decent charge there. It looks like we're going to benefit quite a bit from this alliance here. I do like Araby's cavalry, which we could potentially use to fill the gaps of our own armies here too when it comes to borrowing said units for our own army. Alright, we might have lost a bloated corpse as well. Alright, but no matter. Not too many losses for our fellbats, but also deck droppers themselves doing a bit of damage with their range attacks, but also not necessarily contributing much to the battle. These are expendable units like I've mentioned before too. Alright, let's zoom in on the rest of the Arabians taking their vengeance out on their Bretonnian neighbors. Now, one thing I honestly would have liked to have done more of is to zoom in on the close-up battles between Araby and Bretonnia, as I know in the lore they have heated rivalry as well. In fact, the irony is it was Sultan Jafar who was actually making crusades into Bretonnia and the border princes themselves, rather than a real-life counterpart of the Europeans making crusades into the lands of the Holy Lands of Araby and all that good jazz, but that's enough nerding out on my end. Taking a look at our post-battle stats, Sultan Jafar did lose quite a significant amount of his force there too, almost about half, deploying 1100 and losing 464, only a couple of losses on our end. Personally, for me, some of those losses came from the deck droppers, which I'm not really too worked up about, but also the Bretonnians themselves losing quite a bit with their settlement garrison, and also losing many of their pox archers, thanks to the efforts of our Felbats, which also, admittedly speaking, I was half tempted to just leave all of my forces out of the battle and just have the Arabians do most of the work, but also I was feeling a little bit sympathetic for them, and also I was getting a little bit concerned about their archers actually doing quite a number on their front lines, to the point where I thought Sultan Jafar would actually lose the battle, legitimately speaking. Plus also I do have some personal machinations and plans on using Sultan Jafar's army to help me take out the rest of the Bretonnians, and I do want to hopefully form a military alliance and eventually vassalize the Arabians, just because I do like the idea of either them or potentially Arkan as allies in the south to secure my border on the North African front. But that's just my personal methodical thinking on how I want to play things out with this campaign. Let me know in the comments below if you think it would be smart for me to ally and potentially gain more relations with the Arabians, or eventually betray them later down the line and wipe... Well, actually, I don't really want to wipe them out. I personally like the faction and also culture of Araby myself. And also, I'm a little bit concerned that Arkan the Black may be a little bit too powerful for my personal liking there too, even though we are on massive friendly relations with him. But we'll get to that very shortly in the diplomacy and campaign part of this Let's Play. Alright my friends, with that decisive victory for us, I am going to make an interesting choice here with choosing to share the loot with my commanders, as one, I really am depending on them to make really decisive stage and ground attacks and paving the way for us to take territories in Araby and also to sell them back to the Arabians or to Arkan the Black. Plus also, while they may not have the strongest armies, I did invest quite a bit in them to ensure that they would be able to make these missions successful. So I'm not going to risk them losing any loyalty, although their loyalty is pretty high right now. I believe both of them have loyalties of 7 or 8s. But we'll fast forward to our turn here, as it was technically Araby's turn. Alright, with the help of Arkan the Black and with the Arabians, the faction of Chevaliers de Lyonesse and Rapunzel herself was absolutely obliterated. We didn't even have to fight Rapunzel herself, which honestly, I was getting a little bit worried there because she was mounting a massive attack. It looked like she was going to do an invasion of Sartosa, as we were losing relations with them. But let's scroll over to the Arabian side of the map here. My apologies for any lag, as I am playing with an insane amount of mods for this narrative campaign. But with the help of Arkan, and also with his Hierophant commander, they were able to take the city of Kofur, and I'm assuming that Arkan absolutely obliterated Rapunzel in his attack on Kofur. I'm pretty sure it was either on the open plains or in the city of Kofur itself, which oddly enough, since we are in really good relations with Arkan, I was actually expecting him to lose that battle, just because the game's anti-player bias usually tends to make potential allies a lot weaker compared to your potential enemies, but nonetheless, I am glad that Arkan took her out for us. But also, like I was saying before too, it seems as though Arkan is getting a little bit too big for his britches here. Let's actually take a look at... semi-concerned here. Alright, 2 full stacks there. I really want to see what our relations with Arkan is looking like right now. Okay, this is getting a little bit concerning here. Might and aggressiveness mean you are considered a military superpower, causing many factions to turn hostile, while more subservient leaders will strongly admire the strength you radiate. Okay, it looks like, let's see, battle support for the Sultanate of Araby. Doesn't look like Arkan is a big fan of the Arabians. Alright, we had some past treaties with him, and also fighting against the Rapunzel's faction here. Apparently we're not too much of a strategic threat. Arkan actually really likes that about us. I am really curious though. Okay, we don't have any settlements to trade with him. Alright, how's our expeditionary fleet looking? Ooh, okay, hang on now. Wait just a second here. Okay, so the Arabians just attacked Fyrus. Did they only just sack and raid it? Or like, did they sack it and ran? They sacked it and ran away. Okay, it looks like they retreated back to Al-Hakik. Sultan Jafar does have a secondary army there mounting and... Okay, let's see. Alright, they're sending a trade caravan. Interesting. Oh, and it looks like... Hang on. Okay, here's the Outrunner faction. So it looks like they decide... Oh no! Oh no! Oh, we are in some pretty tough straits here, my friends. Okay, so it looks like the Arabians are also at war with Outrunner. Outrunner, I believe, after that battle, made an attack on Fyrus, took it from the Arabians right after we helped them capture it. Oh, this is some dire straits for us as mercenaries for the Arabians. So I think we might actually end the video here, my friends. I know it was just one major battle, but I promise the next episode will be released very soon, right after I end this episode, where it looks like we're most likely gonna go to war with Outrunner. They absolutely hate our guts right now, but also it could potentially mean a lot of money and territory for us, as it allows us to take Fyrus in turn, and also gain a lot of money and debts from destroying Baldwin's forces here. But do let me know in the comments if you think it's smart for us to declare war on this Bretonnian faction. Granted that this is a modded Bretonnian faction, my friends, so do let me know in the comments your strategies on fighting against the Bretonnians in Araby, or also what are some things that you would like to see me do differently in battles and on the campaign map. I genuinely absolutely love the feedback that you guys give me in terms of improving, as I do want to make this a more entertaining Let's Play for all of you. And regardless if you're a new or returning viewer, thank you so much for taking the time to check out this narrative-driven Let's Play. And if you are a new viewer, I'd love to have you consider hitting that like, subscribe, and bell icon notifications for us to have you join in on the next adventures. Until then, friends, I'll save you a seat at the table, and have a great day.